%85% of partners prefer a man who is groomed below the waist, and 96% of partners think bad grooming is a major turn-off. That's where Manscaped have come in to help us all out, including myself, lads. The Lawnmower 4.0 is a trimmer specifically designed with our crown jewels in mind. It has skin-safe technology to reduce those nicks and cuts and gives you the maximum confidence while trimming below the waist. It's also IPX7 waterproof rated, so you can operate in wet or dry conditions. It has a premium 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology and a massive 90-minute battery time, which is supported by its wireless electromagnetic charging function. With the Performance Package 4.0, you'll get the Crop Reviver with witch hazel and powerful odor defense. This keeps your balls protected after a good shave. Crop Preserver with its soothing aloe vera and advanced quick absorbing cream, keeping your balls feeling fresh and hydrated. And the Weed Whacker to trim ear and nose hair. The Performance Package 4.0 has everything you need to keep you the most groomed man in the room. Use our code XTRA20 XTRA20 at checkout and you'll save yourself 20% off your order and receive free international shipping. Yes, people, welcome back to another stream. And how are we all doing? We're here today to do some transfer rumours and transfer talk. I'm joined by Hugh. I'm going to be speaking all things Madison and a little bit of an update from a fairly decent source on Jude Bellingham. Big up to the guys at Manscaped sponsoring today's stream. You guys can see the comment down below there. You can get 20% off your order and free international shipping. Use code XTRA20 at checkout for 20% off your order and that free shipping there. Everything on the website. Big up to everyone that has already dropped a like on the stream. If you've not done so already, let's get those likes up, man. We're currently on 85 likes, over 200 people in the stream, though, so we can do much, much better than that. How we doing, bro? We're good, man?
All good, man. I love a good transfer rumor. I love this time of the year when the names start cropping up and we can start dreaming of and putting our team together for next season, who we'd like to see play where and what connections and green links we can make. I'm here for it.
That's it. Big up to you for joining me today. We've got Joel Griffiths, Yes, LB. I'm the Irish LB, like father, like son, member for 3 months. Big up Joe. And Mohammed. And we've also got Mohammed with a $2 super chat. Says City really buying the whole England squad. Well, let's get into it then. News coming out today that Leicester are valuing James Maddison, who, remember, only has 1 year left on his contract before he can leave the football club on a Bosman. And they're putting him at £50 million. So I want to discuss this. Obviously, we'll give our thoughts on Maddison as a player and the value. And of course, guys, give us your thoughts in the chat as well. I really like Maddison. I think Maddison's a great player. I think the closest player that we have at the football club to him is probably Kevin De Bruyne. I don't think he's like Gundogan or Bernardo Silva. I'm much more. I put him in the sort of Kevin De Bruyne style of player, not quality, style. Don't get that twisted. And of course, with Kevin De Bruyne, 32 years old, he's getting on, picking up for some injuries. We do need someone who can sort of maybe. I don't want to say replace Kevin De Bruyne because I don't think Maddison will ever replace Kevin De Bruyne because I don't think he's good enough. But someone who can step in and rotate with Kevin De Bruyne. I really, really like him. And to be honest, I would have had him at City last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. The only problem with that was the transfer fee was quite frankly ridiculous. However, now, because he's ran his contract down and it's only got 12 months left on his deal and he can leave on a free transfer at the end of the season, apparently the rumour is from Leicester that they want 50 million for him this season. I think that's very, very, very good value, bro. And I would be all over this deal if, obviously, we do need to get someone like him in the club.
I think, if we're being totally honest, if you watch James Maddison regularly, he is an above in today's market a £50 million player. He is, in terms of what he can offer to a team and consistency-wise. I mean, I'm looking at his statistics here. I don't know how you got them up, but he's on 9 goals and 6 assists in 22 Premier League appearances this season for a really, really struggling Leicester team. It's quite clear when he's on form for Leicester, he's quite a cut above the rest of his teammates around him, and a massive indication for me that he can step up a level and play with better players around him was, I don't know, did you watch him the other week play for England? I want to say it was against Ukraine. And he was class. He was really, really good. He was running the show in the middle of the park. He had Bellingham beside him. He had top player Harry Kane in front of him. He was playing passes in behind the back, and he was taking on players. He looked really, really good. I'm with you that he offers a similar dimension to his game, if you like, that Kevin De Bruyne does. Of course, he's nowhere near the same level as De Bruyne, and I don't think he ever will achieve the same level as Kevin De Bruyne in terms of output and consistency at that, but he could definitely be a massive asset to our team. And something we have to take into account is if Leicester do go down, which is a massive possibility right now, they're struggling. They're really struggling in this relegation battle. Is 50 million something you could bargain down even further? Because with 1 year left in his contract, if they're championship bound, you've every right to go in there and say 30 million. 30 million. He don't want to be there. He's going to force his way out anyway. He's not playing championship next season. I think this is a realistic target. If you could get someone Jude and James Maddison, or maybe Gavi and James Maddison, I'd be very, very happy with that midfield business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, 100%. And that's a good question about whether or not you could potentially get James Maddison for cheaper than 50 million. We got Ake for around 40 million when he got relegated with Bournemouth. I think that when push comes to shove, I think there'll be too many teams looking at James Maddison for them really needing to dip below that sort of 50 million. And I think that you would probably end up getting for 50. I would be surprised if you got him for less than 50 million, bro. Just because I think that there's so many teams, and of course, with him being English as well, we all know that like teams have to have a certain amount of homegrown talent. I think you get that. I think you get 50 million. I think if you're Leicester, I don't think you need to really go below that. But still, even so, I think that 50 million is such good value, and he's such a player that I think would come in and he'd improve our squad, give us a little bit more support for Kevin De Bruyne, gets goals, gets assists. He knows the league. You know what I mean? He's played for England. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, the only really thing that you would say is, as he played at the highest level, you don't think he played in the Champions League for Leicester when they were in it. I might be wrong on that, but I don't think
he did.
No, he didn't. No. So he's only played Europa League football and Conference League football. And even though he has played for England a few times, I don't think he's ever been like a starter in tournament football. Like he didn't go to the World Cup. I can't remember if he went to the Euros, but if he didn't play. So that's the only real thing you would say is he's not really got that sort of big game experience that you'd sort of crave. However, sometimes you've got to look past that, haven't you, bro? And you've got to be like, maybe when you're signing a player from outside a different league who you're not really sure of, ideally you'd like to have some of that experience. But with James Maddison, we see him every week. Everyone in this stream knows what James Maddison's game is. We know what he's capable of. So for me, I don't really see it as a major issue or major turn-off. I think it's something that City will be looking at. Of course, with Gundogan leaving in the summer, as we believe at the moment, and Bernardo possibly leaving as well, we are going to be heavily short. We're going to need, in my opinion, 2 to 3 more players in that sort of position. And if you go for the big bucks, you go for Jude Bellingham or a McAllister, who's, both of them are probably going to be over 85, 90 million. You want someone who can come in, supplement that midfield. You're good enough to start because obviously, Kevin De Bruyne does pick up those knocks and we need our third player in that position to be able to start. If you look at it right now, we've got Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo and Gundogan. I think most of us are happy with that, whatever combination of them 3 play. He's good enough to start. He knows the league. And for 50 million quid, for a player of his quality, and you read out his stats, I mean, fantastic numbers. I just think it's something that if you don't want Jude Bellingham at the football club, I want to know from you guys in the chat, why? What is it about Jude Bellingham that you don't, not Jude Bellingham, sorry, James Maddison. What is it about James Maddison that you don't like? Because the value clearly is there, 50 million, that's a bargain. So what does he do or what does he not do, which means that you don't want him at the football club? Is there any weaknesses that you see within his game, bro? Because, I mean, I'll come on to my weaknesses in a second from him, but any weaknesses that you think maybe people would be like, nah, I don't want him?
I think he's a fantastic footballer. When he's fit and when he's fresh and when he's playing well, I think he's up there with one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. He really is, but he's just playing in a Leicester team that's not that great. The big concern over James Maddison that people in the chat seems to be thrown in is his injury record. And I'm fully in agreement that his injury record's not great. I know we can get it up there and he's been out quite a bit, but it's a similar situation to Haaland at Dortmund, Jude at Dortmund. These players have been overexhausted, way overexhausted. James Maddison has to play. When he's fit, he has to play for Leicester. There's no 2 ways about it. He makes that team tick. Comes to Manchester City, he's no longer that same main man. It's no longer like Jack Grealish was at Villa. He had to play a single game. He rotated. The pressure and stress on his body won't be as intense. So it will be a different situation, him coming to Manchester City. So for me, it's just their injury record, really. I mean, people are saying in the chat here, I've seen 1 or 2 people saying that Maddison is greater than Mount, and I know they're just giving their opinion, but I'm actually in agreement with you. Maddison would be a better purchase for me than Mason Mount. I think Maddison would be a better fit for the type of football we play than Mason Mount. I think he has more of the attributes of a Pep Guardiola-esque midfielder than Mason Mount. It didn't even cross my mind until you said it that other clubs will be circling around James Maddison. For me, it was just a case of if we want him, we can go and get him. But yeah, now that you mention it, he's such a good midfielder. He's probably so diverse and versatile he can slot into any midfield that if they do go down, most of the top 6, if not all of them, will be circling around James Maddison saying, could we get this done? Because he's an asset to anybody's squad, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if you think about it, bro, let's have a look at some of the teams that could be interested. Arsenal, I've obviously got Odegaard and they play Xhaka in there as well. Someone gets injured there, they got Smith Rowe, but they could probably do with Madison. Spurs, obviously their midfield is appalling and they could do with him. United's midfield is trash and they could do with some strengthening. Liverpool's midfield is awful and obviously they need him as well. You look at someone like a Newcastle, you know what I mean? They'd love to have him. They've got Bruno Guimaraes in there as well. They've got Longstaff. They've got I think it's Murphy, the lad that comes on as well from the bench.
They would from last summer as well, Newcastle.
They did, yeah. They were interested in him as well. Chelsea, of course, are doing this mad rebuild, and they're seemingly in for everyone, which is why I don't think you're going to get much discount on the 50 million. I think a lot of clubs are going to be interested in James Maddison. I think he's going to have a pick of the clubs this summer, and I think that Manchester City should be one of those clubs that puts the name in the hat because the value that you got to pay for him. I mean, as soon as you buy him for 50 million, right? He comes into Manchester City. You're already in profit there because for me, he's like a 70 million pound player. In today's market, in my opinion, he's worth around 70 million quid. That's what I believe he's probably worth. If he didn't have all the injuries and the injury concerns, then maybe it would be closer to maybe 100 or 90 or something like that. But because of the injuries, he's not had consistent football. I think he's probably around a 70 million pound player. And I think what you mentioned there about the about Leicester hammering him out is completely true. And this happens to all clubs that aren't absolutely desperate for points. As when they come back from injury, they're straight back into the team. I mean, if you look at these, let me zoom in a little bit for you here. So, hell, man, ads everywhere. So you got the knee injury here, right? Straight back in for the next game against Brighton, albeit on the bench. Yeah. Then boom, start, and look at these bits. He's been fine, but look how quickly the team gets him back into look how quickly the manager gets the player back into the team, and it's because they have to. They're desperate. Actually, last season he had a pretty good record with injuries, so he actually did quite well. But if you go the season before, look again, hip injury. As soon as he's back, played, bro. Look, no surprise, back injured again. Straight back into the team. This is what happens with these players, man. They get injured, they come back, and they're just straight back into the team. And we've seen it with Harry Kane, which is why I didn't have a concern when we were linked with Harry Kane and people were mentioning his glass ankles. OLB is going to be injured all the time. No, I disagree. And the reason I disagree, look at Haaland. If Haaland was like a Tottenham player or something like that, yeah, he would have played at the weekend. He would have played against Liverpool at the weekend, bro. They would have gambled on it. Not City, not Pep Guardiola. We don't need to gamble because we've got other players who can fill into that role. So he wasn't even on the bench. If that was another team, they probably would have risked him and they probably would have gambled and he possibly might have got injured. So this is why City are able to deal with players who maybe have a bit of an injury record, because we can deal with manage their recovery a lot better and a lot slower. Again, something that you mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Ruben Diaz. When Ruben Diaz come back from his hamstring injury, terrible hamstring injury, complete tear by the sounds of it, he didn't play for 2 to 3 weeks. He was on the bench in training. Everyone was like, where's Ruben Diaz? All we were doing is keeping him back and making sure that when we put him into the team, he was there to stay. And that's what we've done. And that's why I'm not worried about Maddison's injury record, Chilwell's injury record, because I just feel that as a club, we manage them a lot better.
I think we do as well. I think when City go in for a player and we all immediately jump to their injury record and say, no, he's made of biscuits, he's made of chocolate, blah, blah, blah. You have to be pretty confident that when he comes to City, his injury record or his injury consistency will improve by a solid 50%, because the same wear and tear will not be anywhere near as it is at City as it was at his former club. I mean, the one injury you singled out there is a hip injury. A hip injury is rarely, if ever, from impact. It's wear and tear. You pick up a hip injury because you're constantly twisting and turning every 3 days, football training every day. It's overexhausting the player. But if we have a Gundo, if we have a Jude, we already have a De Bruyne, we already have a Foden, Madison ain't playing every 3 days. He's not playing every 3 days. It's about squad depth, and you alluded to it. That's why all the other 5 top 6 clubs will be in from. Arsenal, they don't want to overexhaust Martin Odegaard. They don't want to overexhaust Xhaka. Liverpool need a new midfield. United need a new midfield. Sabitzer, I don't think he's quite that. Eriksen's unreliable in terms of injuries. Is he going to come back the same kind of thing? Chelsea, it's about depth. If you want to be able to compete, you need players who can come in at Premier League level, guaranteed hit. He's an FA Cup winner as well. He beat Chelsea in an FA Cup final, and he was huge in that run as well. So he's only 26, even though it feels like he's been around a long time. I think there's so many pros to adding James Maddison to your squad. And the same way with any player that comes in, Pep seems to make any player he likes that comes in 20, 30% better again. We could be talking about James Maddison in Manchester City when he's 29, 30, saying this guy's in the world-class category. Because there's no denying the guy has serious ability and serious talent. He just needs a top-level manager and top players around him to get that bit out of him. So I'm well up for it, man. I'm well up for it. And I see people saying, I saw one in the chat saying we need exciting signings. James Maddison's not that. I'm not too pushed about exciting signings and exciting names.
Disagree.
I mean, if his name was James Madison from France or something, will we be a bit more excited? I don't know. I want players who I know gonna come in, gonna be able to play for Manchester City, gonna be able to compete in the Champions League, compete week in, week out in the Premier League, and Pep can improve them even further. Like I said, he's still young enough to improve. So I'm here for, man, a good price for James Maddison. Manchester City need to be all over that.
Yeah, I disagree on the exciting thing. What Manchester City need to be doing in the summer is signing players who can make us improve and better our team and are right for the squad, not exciting players. Exciting players, when you're signing exciting players, you're signing them because you don't know what's going to happen. That's why they're exciting, right? Unless you're going for like the Messis of this world, that would be exciting. But if you're signing exciting players, typically it's because you're excited because you don't really know what's happening. You cure it. That's why Perone, we get chat after chat after chat about Perone. I'm talking about Perone all the time. I don't want him to play because I think he's mint or I think he's going to be world class. I want him to play because I'm excited to see if he can play ball. Not because I think he's class. I do think he's good. I've watched him a few times. But that's why he's exciting, Perone, because we don't know what's going on with him. Is he going to be good? I think that Manchester City need to take the emotion out of the transfer window this summer. And we need to go for players who can help build this squad. Because let me tell you something. Arsenal are going to get better. I personally don't think Arsenal will do as well next season as they will do this season, not when they're competing for the Champions League as well. And the pressure will be on them next season to sort of emulate what they've done this season. I could quite easily see them having a little bit of a dip next year. But Chelsea, regardless of the funny state of that club, they've just announced Lampard today as well. They are spending so much money that they are likely to improve from this season, and they're currently in the bottom half of the table. Man United got a good manager in Ten Hag, and they will spend money, whether it be with the Glazers or a new owner. They always spend money. Spent £1 billion since Fergie left, so they'll spend money. Liverpool would improve, right? And maybe Spurs can do something as well with a new manager who they actually want to play for. So we have to build this squad to compete on all four fronts. And what we can't be doing is taking too many gambles. Now, that doesn't mean to say that you can't sign an exciting player here or there. Jude Bellingham is an exciting player. You know, we don't know what he's going to do. If he comes in, he could be world-class. He might be average, but he might be world-class. He's exciting. But for the bulk of the signings, if we sign 5 players, I want 4 of them to be like, I know this player is going to come in and perform to a good standard. We can't be taking gamble after gamble. We can do that with 1 or 2 players, but most of the players have to be solid shooters. That's a fact, man.
I see people in the chat saying like Haaland was an exciting signing. So I think by exciting, they mean Galactico signings, like blockbuster signings. And the reality in going out every single summer and bringing in 3 and 4 blockbuster Galacticos, it's slim to none. It's not going to happen. City don't operate like that. Haaland was a treat for us in that sense. Haaland was just like, oh, wow, our club has just gone and genuinely signed the hottest up-and-coming striker in world football. We're not used to that. And City's success over the years is not, the foundations of that is not what PSG have done, is not what Real Madrid do. It's identifying players around the world who we are very, very confident, our recruitment team and Pep are very confident in coming in and doing a good job and improving further. Like, I would never want to go down the route of PSG, just buying Galactico after Galactico, Ramos, Donnarumma, Neymar, Mbappe, Messi. And look at where that's got them. There's no cohesion in the team. The team it's not fluid. Our team is all about fluidity. Everything that Manchester City play, tiki-taka, whatever, Pep style, it's fluid. There's no individualism. So I don't want that. I'm 100% with LB. Players guaranteed to come in, fit the system, adapt, improve, and challenge. That's what I want. I don't need no Galacticos every year. The odd one here or there just to give us our shirt sales and get us excited and that kind of thing. But it's all about competing and guaranteed impact.
100%. Guys, make sure you have your say in the chat and the poll that's currently running alongside the chat. Let us know, where do you want James Maddison at Manchester City? Let us know your thoughts in the chat and in the poll as well. Big up to Gollerin with a 4-month member chat. Says, yes, lads. Personally, I would take Gavi and McAllister for 120 million. Besides that, keep up the streams and daily uploads. Yes, Gollerin. Appreciate the member chat, bro. And we've also got Daniel Thompson with a super chat who says, James Maddison, man on machine within a year. Hold tight, Daniel. You know it's coming, bro. You know it's coming. All right, guys, make sure you drop a like on the stream if you've not done so already. Over 450 people of you guys watching and tuning in. Hopefully you're all having a good day. Make sure you smash the likes up. Get those likes past 200. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well if you're new, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our daily videos, shorts, and live streams as well. So big up to everyone that's already done that. And of course, guys, you can get 20% off your order at manscaped.com using code Xtra20 at checkout. That's off your entire order, and free international global shipping available as well. Big up to you guys. If anyone wants to have another say about Madison, feel free to whack it in the chat. But I do want to just turn my attention now to Jude Bellingham again. We speak a lot about Jude Bellingham, but there's been some more news as well coming out from Jude Bellingham transfer rumours. And this time it's coming from Build. Now, Build, again, I say this a lot. Build got a lot of the stuff right with the Haaland news. This is why I sort of respect them. However, what people need to understand is just because Build say something this time doesn't mean that it's good. So the way that this sort of industry works in the newspapers, and some of you might know this, so apologies if you already know this, but the Manchester Evening News or the Daily Mail or the Times, right? They will have multiple stories running, but they'll be run by different sort of journalists. So you got to kind of have a look at which journalist is writing and which journalist is saying it. Having said that, when Build talk, you do listen. But again, it doesn't always mean that they're 100% right. It does depend on who is writing the story. Their latest sort of news coming out from Bild, this is a German newspaper, by the way, is that Manchester City are very hot on the deal of Jude Bellingham, 150 million euros, which is 135 million pounds, which is the consistent number that we've been hearing a lot. It sort of ranges between 125 million to 135 million pounds. Real Madrid will not meet 150 million euros. We've already heard from a couple of different sources in Spain that Real Madrid are not really looking too confident on this deal. I mean, they already have quite a few midfielders as it is anyway, but it doesn't seem that they're likely to go to 150 million euros, which means that unless the player is absolutely desperate or Real Madrid can strike up some sort of deal with Borussia Dortmund, that's unlikely to happen. We've also heard that Manchester City are happy to pay the £125 million, and a few sources, a few different rumours going around, that City are actually happy to pay that up front and not pay it over instalments. Again, whether that's true or not, we'll have to wait and see. So it's just a case really of now waiting on Liverpool. In my view, this is now a 1v1, a head-to-head battle between Manchester City and Liverpool to try and get Jude Bellingham. I think it's not impossible, but my own opinion, if I tell you truthfully, I think Real Madrid are out of this race. I do. I don't think they're going to get him. I think he wants to come back to the Premier League. And I think he probably does maybe favour Liverpool. I think he does. I think his dad's clearly pushing him that direction. And I think he might prefer Liverpool, but I don't think it's a make or break for him. I think he would also be very happy to join City and under Pep Guardiola. The question mark now is, are Liverpool going to meet the transfer value that Borussia Dortmund want and that Manchester City are already willing to pay? And can they strike a deal with Borussia Dortmund over the installments of that payment plan? Because if Manchester City are willing to pay that 125 million up front, then Borussia Dortmund may say to Liverpool, look, you need to pay this in quicker installments, bigger chunks, or maybe increase the transfer fee. We've seen that with Perone, when City signed Perone from Vélez Sarsfield, that City, that Vélez Sarsfield actually said to City, you can actually pay us more money than the release clause, but then you can spread it out over a longer period of time rather than just whacking the £7 million release clause. So are Liverpool going to match City's bid? That's where we're at the moment. I mean, where are you at with the Jude Bellingham? So I know we speak about him a lot, but obviously we're kind of getting like daily news on Jude Bellingham, such as the size of the transfer. Where are you kind of at with this?
I'm kind of at a point where I'm not listening to too much unless it's from your kind of concrete sources. I know a lot of Liverpool ITKs clearly gaslighting their fans and into believing that something serious is happening or things are happening, as Jared Romero says. As you said, you listen to the sources, that when certain sources speak, you listen. And in fairness, I'll give the German sources credit that they're very different to, say, contrast that with the Spanish sources. The German sources, they don't tend to go for the bang, bang headlines, catch your attention, clickbait kind of stuff, the way, your man Tic Tac does, and Jared Romero, like I said, things are happening. They tend to give you what they seem to genuinely believe is happening. So when Bill speak, you kind of listen. With the Jude Bellingham thing, I'm really confident. I really am. I'm super, super confident. I don't care what the Liverpool ITK say. I really don't. I don't care what I'm getting in my WhatsApp messages. I don't care what I'm getting off anybody in regards to Liverpool. I look at what I see. I analyze what I see. Jurgen Klopp, I'm learning a lot about what they're going to do in the summer as the weeks go on. As their performances get worse and worse, it's dawning on Jurgen Klopp and it's dawning on Liverpool Football Club that Jude Bellingham is not the answer to their problems. You saw Klopp, I think it was after the Chelsea game or after the City game, one of them. He was asked, if these performances continue and these results continue, what'll happen then? He says, I won't be the Liverpool manager. I think he's smart enough to know that spending 150 million euro on Jude Bellingham is not the solution to their problem. They need so much more than a 19-year-old midfielder to come in and fix them. They need that 150 million euro spent on 3, 4, and 5 players, not one. I think if they go and buy Jude Bellingham and just Jude Bellingham and maybe 1 or 2 Arthur Melo standard players, that have the exact same season, if not worse, next season than they did this season. And I think it's up to them to realize that. I think if I can see that, and I'm sure plenty of you can see that, I know LB spoke about it before, I would imagine FSG and Klopp can too. I think we are in a position where we can offer him everything he needs right now. We speak about young players needing to go. We spoke about Gavi yesterday. He needs to go to somewhere where he's guaranteed stability, no messing about ownership, a good manager, good players around him, just a great place for a young player to come, learn his trade, keep growing, hit his full potential. I'm sorry, Liverpool fans. I'm sorry that you don't want to hear this. Your club is not that place right now. It's just not. It's an absolute mess from top to bottom. The ownership, are they staying? Are they going? Is the manager staying? Is the manager going? They need 7 or 8 new players. They need to get rid of 7 or 8 players. Telling a 19-year-old, go to Liverpool and fix that, is not what he needs. I'm super confident about this. I really, really am. I don't know when we're going to find out concrete news about it, but I'm really, really confident we can get this deal done.
Yeah, you know what? It's the same with me, bro. I'm feeling pretty confident on this deal. Like I say, I'm probably like 6.5, 7 out of 10 confident, which is, it's a head-to-head. That's more than a 50% chance. I feel good. I feel that, like, Liverpool, for me, I don't see them getting top 4 now this season. I do think they've got some easy, obviously this weekend they've got a tricky, but if you look at the running, they do have an easier running, but it's still the way that they're playing, nothing is guaranteed. And, you got to be Jude Bellingham. And I agree. I think that he's got to look at his situation, man, and go, what do I want? What do I want to achieve in the game? Do I want to win trophies? Do I want a massive, massive trophy haul? But maybe not be the star man at Manchester City. I don't want to go to Liverpool, be less guaranteed of trophies. Probably will still win trophies if we're being honest, but like less guaranteed, but be the star man at the club. But you got it. For me, I think that in the end, I think he will pick the club that is probably better for development. And I say better development. People are why Liverpool fans saying, why are you saying it's better for development? Because there won't be as much pressure on Jude Bellingham. Don't get me wrong. With the transfer fee that City or Liverpool will end up paying, there's going to be pressure on Jude Bellingham to perform. But as you just mentioned, if he goes into Liverpool, he's got a lot of responsibility to fix that midfield, fix it. There'll be a lot of pressure on it. And I would expect that they sign someone else as well. Like, even if they do spend 125 million, I think they're going to have to find some cash out somewhere, whether it's down the couch, on a Wonga loan. I don't know. They're going to have to find some cash. It can't just be Jude Bellingham. But there's going to be a lot of pressure on Liverpool and Jude Bellingham to perform next season and really see a massive improvement in that midfield. He comes to Manchester City, there isn't as much pressure on Jude Bellingham. Why? Because we're already performing well. We're already performing at a high standard. We're second in the league, still got a great chance to win the league. We're still in the FA Cup, should be going to the final. And we're competing. We've still not won the Champions League, but we're constantly getting to semi-finals and finals now. And it's a matter of time before we win that trophy. There's less pressure on Jude Bellingham at City. Like I say, there's still pressure, but there's certainly less pressure on him. And I think in the end, he logic will out and he'll make the correct decision.
Musa says in the chat here, I think his heart is set on Liverpool. And you know what? That could be 100% correct. Him and his dad could be saying, oh, we would love to go to Liverpool. But as his dad, who is also his agent, so you're a parent and his agent, you need to look at the situation and say, yes, we may prefer to go to Liverpool because of the heritage and the prestige, and we have a soft spot for the thing. But you need to look at it and say, where is going to give my son the best chance at top successful career? And as soon as possible, where is he going to grow? Where is he going to develop? Where is the pressure not as intense? Where is the infrastructure perfect for him to go in and do his best and achieve his full potential? I don't think it matters. I think you have to take sentiment out of this situation and out of your decision. And I think that's what they ultimately will do. I think if his heart was set on Liverpool and he was just going to Liverpool, that's that. I think we know by now. I think we would know by now. I think it will be out. Bellingham has chose Liverpool. He's going there to try and help them whatever way he can. There's a reason why this is dragging on as much as it is. If he was set on Liverpool, we'd know. It's dragging out because he's thinking. He's thinking about this heavily. His dad's thinking about this heavily. Maybe just because, even though we love Liverpool, it's not the best place for us to go.
And I would also say, bro, I think if Manchester City got that opinion of Jude Bellingham, I think they'd pull out the deal.
Absolutely.
I would hear about it. And
City don't mess around, man. City don't wait around. We're not waiting around for a player who's flip-flopping.
Yeah, if Pep Guardiola or Calhoun got the opinion or got the vibe that he only wants to go to Liverpool, the rumours would be shot down. We would have heard by now. The journalist, Sam Lee, the lad who, I can't remember his name, Simon Bajowski, these guys, yeah? They would have come out, David Ornstein, Fabrizio. These guys would be out here already saying, no, City have pulled out. It's full steam on McAllister or full steam on someone else. Maybe, like you said, bro, maybe, and I believe this. I think that he probably does maybe favour Liverpool based on the information and the rumours that are going out there. But I don't think his heart's set on Liverpool. I don't think he's 100% on Liverpool. I think he's just like, I prefer to go to Liverpool, but I'm also very happy to go to Manchester City. That's where I think it's at. And I think if he was 100% set on Liverpool, he'd probably reject City anyway, and Manchester City would have pulled out the deal. So I don't think that I think if Liverpool match the bid, I think he's got a really tricky decision to make, but I don't think it's as clear and obvious as that. Couple of people asking me to look at the Blue Moon Farm. Of course, we've got Tommy's hairdo, and Matty B, I think he's also like a fairly decent source. Not 100% sure, but I think he's a fairly decent source. We've also got Tommy's hairdo as well. We love Tommy's hairdo on the channel. Big up Tommy's hairdo. Look at what's been said. Matty B said, I've just been told to expect us to go full throttle. This is on the Jude Bellingham thread, by the way. So this is specifically about Jude Bellingham. And then Thomas Hairdo responded 3 minutes later and said, we already have, mate. Happened in December. Talking is already done. Money is there, which again backs up the sort of some of the rumours that are going around that maybe City have the money ready and are willing to pay that up front in one. And again, some people in the chat, right, this might answer the question. Some people in the chat will be like, LB, Hugh, if City are in for Jude Bellingham, then how come we've not heard any more rumours recently about Jude Bellingham? What about if what Tommy said is true? What about if the talking is done? City have gone to Bellingham in December and said, this is what we'll pay you, this will be the contract. They went to Dortmund and say, this is what we'll pay you, and this is the length of time we will pay it over, whether it be straight up in one or over a period of time. And they said, and Jude Bellingham's camp went, yeah, we're happy with that deal. We'll think about it. We'll take our time. We'll get back to you in the second week of April, which is sort of what people are saying. And Dortmund went, yeah, that's no problem. We'll accept that. He's your player as long as no one else matches it. Well, what else is there to talk about? There's no leaks that then can come, because from December until now, no one's been talking. So there's not been the availability and there's not been the chance for information to be leaked to the press, because no one's talking if the talking is already done, which again is what Tommy's saying. He said the talking is already done, happened in December. So why would we now be getting leaks from journalists to say, oh, this is happening? Because nothing's happening, because the talks have already happened. It's just a case of now we are waiting for the green light from Jude Bellingham. That's it, in my view. We're waiting for the green light.
Bro, I'm telling you, and people seem to forget when we do get concrete sources coming out telling us what's what. The latest one isn't that long ago. What was it, 2 weeks ago? David Ornstein comes out. Liverpool feeling, was it increasingly unlikely about getting Jude Bellingham, or they're increasingly, or their confidence is decreasing, something along the lines of that. There's a concrete source for you. There's someone who knows what he's talking about more often than not. David Ornstein saying City hot favourites. And if you remember, throw back to around maybe a little bit, a month or two ago last year, they said Erling Haaland, he's always wanted to play for Real Madrid. His heart is set on Real Madrid. And then City negotiate and City get the deal done. I'm so convinced that if Bellingham only wanted Liverpool and his heart was set on Liverpool, he'd be considered a Liverpool player by now. He'd be finishing out his season with Dortmund and he'd be waiting to link up with Liverpool for pre-season this summer. We would know. The fact that it hasn't come out like that, something's happening. I hate to quote that guy because I hate him, Gerard Romero, but something is happening.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's going to be an interesting one, that. Just quickly going back to the James Maddison thing, we've had over 400 votes in the poll. 63% of you guys in the chat want James Maddison at Manchester City. 37% of people don't want James Maddison at Manchester City. So to bring it back to James Maddison now, because I think we've kind of covered most things there on Jude Bellingham. For people who voted no on James Maddison, I want to know why. Why do you not want James Maddison at Manchester City? Is it the price? Do you think £50 million is too much? Do you not think he suits our style of play? Do you prefer someone else? You know, whether that be just the player's better or someone else out there who's better value? What is the reason that 37% of people have voted for Maddison? So Cade in the chat says, because I want McAllister. We would get McAllister or Maddison, in my view. I don't think you go from Jude Bellingham to Maddison. I think Maddison would be a supplementary buy, and you would buy McAllister, and you buy McAllister or Jude Bellingham plus Maddison. I don't think you get Maddison is there as your sole midfielder. I think that would be the wrong move. I think he would be a player that you get in as a second midfielder. Do you think I'm right on that, or do you think he could come in and actually be like our main man?
No, Madison won't be the main man. He'll be a squad depth player. And that's not to say he won't play a lot of football. He will play quite a bit of football because we play 50, 60 games a season. I think there is a big hitter coming in. Like I said, I'm super, super confident that is Jude Bellingham. But should it not be Jude Bellingham, there will be a big hitter coming in. Maybe a McAllister could be, or maybe they've got their eyes on someone else. And then James Maddison. Because like I keep referring to, we don't want to go into a situation where we do need a big overhaul. This is us preventing ourselves from needing a big overhaul at some stage. You add in players for depth, you add in players for quality and depth as well. So Maddison is the perfect number for that. I think we'll get two midfielders this summer. I think Maddison is a very good option and a very likely option for the number 2. And there'll be someone else will come in as the big flagship or whatever you want to call it, centre mid to come in.
James Perry says there's better options out there. Alexia says better. I prefer someone else. Paul Tom said he's not actually a midfielder. Andy says not good enough for City, in my opinion. Hugh Janus says, to be fair, I want Maddison, but I want McAllister more. And McAllister is twice the price of Maddison. I already told you, injury record, we don't need that. I think the season going to be way rough next season. What else people saying? Charlotte says, bit concerned. He's waiting to see if Liverpool can do the deal or not before giving the green light. Oh, that's back on Jude Bellingham. That's fair. Simo Sup says, I don't think he's that great of a player. He's been at Leicester for 5 years. Why has no one else snapped him up? I think teams have probably tried Simo. I mean, you see the rumours just like me every single summer. You know, I think, like you said, Chelsea wanted him last season. I think Arsenal wanted him to Newcastle. Sorry, Arsenal wanted him the season before. I just think the one thing that sort of held him back from leaving really has probably been the transfer fee. Leicester have been asking for like £90 million. You've got a chance of now getting for 50 million quid. I agree, and I do say that a lot. If he's that good, why is he still there? I always say that about players, yeah. But I do think you can make an exception for Maddison because he is a good player. He's done it in the Premier League. You've seen his stats before. His stats are very, very strong. And I just think the reason no one's gone for him, in my personal opinion, is because the transfer fee's been outpriced. The move has been outpriced. Whereas now it's at a reasonable fee of 50 million quid.
I also think that there's a certain element to it whereby he probably felt he was in a good place at a young age for himself to develop. He was the main man in midfield. Leicester were playing good football and were doing half decent under Brendan Rodgers, you know, winning an FA Cup. They were kind of in the mix at stages in mid-table and slightly above that in the Premier League. And when he was 23, 24, 25, he's probably right. I'm doing okay here. I'm in a good place to develop. Now he's 26. He's saying, I'm coming into my prime. I need to be somewhere where I can get trophies. So now is the best time to go and get James Maddison, if you ask me. And Leicester, like you said, would have put a massive price tag on his head over the last few years. And he probably wasn't in too much of a rush to leave. So It is what it is, man. I think if you're to get James Maddison, now is the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Big up Anakin says Maddison's been playing right wing all season, not as cam or centre mid. Well, I mean, this is a thing. I mean, if you look at his, I to be fair, I've only ever seen him play centre mid, but maybe he has been playing right wing. If that's true, that's fair. And I think it is fair based on looking at some of the stats. Although one thing I was going to say, he's a very versatile player. He's a very versatile player. If you look at his stats, right, he's played 178 games as an attacking midfielder, 33 games as a centre mid, 26 games as a left winger, 21 games as a right winger. He's also played 5 times as a striker. He's a very versatile player. And what do we know Pep Guardiola likes? Versatile players. So I think there's a serious chance that this will happen. I think there's a great opportunity this will happen. And honestly, I'd be fully behind this move. I remember, not as the main guy. I would prefer Jude or McAllister as the main guy and bring him in. And like you said, it's not disrespectful to say that because you got to understand when you're at Manchester City, you're in that trio. There is no, this is the team. We see Kev Gundo loads. We see Kev Bernardo loads. Kev's the only guy really who gets in. We rotate. So he's still going to play 40 games a season. He'll still play massive games. He'll still come on in big games off the bench, you know. At Manchester, we don't really have like a starting 11. We probably have like the core team plus Kevin De Bruyne, and that's it. You know, wingers get changed, fullbacks get changed, even the centre backs get changed. You know, so I think we should get him in. I think it'd be a great move. He's going to win trophies. He'll improve as a player. He'll have a better chance of getting in the England squad. And I'd be all over this move. I really would, man.
There's a lot of people in the chat saying who they would like, and are we in agreement that we're going to get 2 centre mids this summer? Do you think we're going to go out and get 2? Yeah.
If we lose both Gundogan and Bernardo Silva, we have to. We simply have to.
I think so too. So let me ask this to you in the chat: Who if you had the choice yourself, if you're given the checkbook, who are the 2 you go and get? And I want to think pragmatically about this because people are saying they want McAllister, and it's quite clear City want Jude. I'll tell you now this for a fact. I would be super surprised if City go and get Jude and McAllister. Because McAllister's going to cost, what do you think, about 80, 90 million?
18 million. 18 minimum.
We spend 210 M's on 2 midfielders somewhere. I tell you that now. As much money as we do have, we will not do that. So you can kind of rule out the pairing of Bellingham and McAllister. So who would you like the most, LB and Chat, as a duo? It's
Ah,
tough, man. Think
man.
pragmatically about this.
There's options, man. The options. You know what it is, bro. I'm open, man. I'm open. I'm not. I've not got my heart set on any one player or any combination of players. I think there's some really really good options out there for us. Whether it's Jude Bellingham, whether it's Madison, whether it's McAllister, whether you get Vega in, yeah. Whether you get some other probably midfielder we've been linked with, Kovacic, even though he did have a stinker against Liverpool. I think there's some great players out there. There are some really, really top talent, and I think we're in a good position because we're one of the best clubs in the world. There's very few other clubs that people would rather go to than Manchester City right now. Look at us, we're fucking mint. You're playing with Erling Haaland, the biggest Galactico there is right now. Yeah, other than Mbappe, but Mbappe plays for PSG in the French league. No one wants to go there. So, I think we've got to pick of the choice. We can literally go for wherever we want. And we can just decide based on value. We can look at stuff like value, or you're overpricing him. We can go get this other guy. We can look at who would suit our team better. We can go deep, man. I'm just happy with anything, man. Honestly, I'm open. I do have my preference, but I'm going to save my preference for another stream because I want to tell you my preference. But honestly, I'm open to anything, man.
I'll tell you my preference, but you guys can be blue balled for LB's preference for another day. My preference is I would absolutely love this to happen, and I don't know about the attainability, but I'll tell you about attainability after. I would love to spend the big cash on Bellingham, and if it was able to be done somehow, if the situation continues to worsen there, I'd love to get Gavi. I think Bellingham and Gavi as two flagship centre mids coming in. If we were talking about just going on buying Gavi and Bellingham, no chance in hell. But because of the situation at Barcelona, there's reality in spending big cash on Bellingham and getting Gavi for a cheap fee or free if their situation is as bad as we're led to believe. But in terms of attainability, which means actually acquiring the player and seems more straightforward, I think spend the big cash on Bellingham and go and spend the 50 million on James Maddison. I think he is the best, not backup option, but like depth option and someone guaranteed to come in and give at least a serviceable impact. Bellingham and Madison, I think, for actually acquiring, but I would love if it unfolded into our hands a Bellingham and Gavi situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's fair. Big up Joel Webb as well for the super chat. Says Madison brings leadership for Gundo leaving. He does bring leadership. I think he could come on. The big thing for me is how long would it take Madison to sort of get himself in there and get himself settled? We've seen that. Man, police are coming around, innit? You know what I'm saying? They're not happy with this. Not happy with the stream. They want Jude Bellingham and Gavi, bro. They're not happy. How quick?
Leicester Madison. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's captain.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. How quickly would he take to settle into this team? We saw with Jack Grealish, it took him over a year, probably 18 months to get fully settled into the side. How long do you reckon it would take Madison? I think Madison's got a little bit more grit about him and a little bit more. I think he knows he's a top player. So I think it'd be a lot quicker for Madison to integrate into this side than it was for Grealish.
I think so too. And you know what? If we hold on to one of Gunnar Bernardo and get Bellingham, and you have De Bruyne, and then you have your Foden's and your Grealishes who can play there at some point, I think there's enough comfort room there for Madison to kind of put it in and to take it on. But there's nothing to suggest that he can't come in and at least look pretty decent to start off with. I believe if you get him now at 26, that by 29, 30, Madison could be a top player in world football. I'm not saying he'll be, up there in legendary status or he'll be one of the best ever played the game, but we're talking a really, really good player here. Like when Bernardo first came in, when Gundo first came in, these guys weren't regarded as the best in the business. They were very good players in their own regards. Coming to a club where they were joining a team where they could develop themselves further and become what they are now. Bernardo right now is not what he was 5-6 years ago. Gundogan likewise, and plenty of other players the exact same. So I think Madison now at 26, he's earned the right to get himself his foot in the door at Manchester City and be a part of the squad. And then it's up to him as to how much work he puts in to get himself even better, because the room is there. The potential is there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I completely agree. With you. I think he could be a top player. I mean, I think he already is, in my view. I rate him highly. But I think he needs to take that jump now. He needs to take that jump to the next level where he's competing for Premier Leagues. He's competing for trophies, playing in the Champions League. You know what I mean? This guy never played in the Champions League before. He needs to be doing that, to really test himself. And I think he'd thrive. And for 50 million quid, honestly, for you doubters out there, You know, and there's still quite a lot of doubters out there. There's 38% of people in the stream who don't want him at City. I think that you would be proven wrong once he comes, especially for the value.
Bro? With Madison, I think there's a high possibility you may see an even better Madison straight away at Manchester City, because sometimes Madison can be just nullified out of games because teams that play against Leicester will look at the Leicester team and go, right, if we can just keep Madison quiet, there's a high chance we can stop all of Leicester's goal threats because he's the main chance creator. He pulls the strings. He's the biggest threat. Whereas with Manchester City, you throw him into our starting 11 alongside all of our other attacking outlets. They're no longer focused on James Maddison. He's going to get that bit more room, that bit of extra the ball to express himself more so than he had himself in a long, long time. He may feel the shackles are taken off him when he's at a club that he's not targeted, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, completely agree. Big up Farking Hell as well with the 19 months. Says, isn't Jude a Galactico? Yeah, Jude would be a Galactico signing. I think if he's spending £125 million on a 19-year-old, I would 100% consider that a Galactico signing. So, yeah. Galactico. Yeah. But you don't want too many Galacticos because, you know, they are a bit of a risk. You know, Haaland wasn't a risk, and Haaland was a weird Galactico because he was only 50 million quid. When I'm talking Galacticos, I'm talking about a player that's probably never played in the country before. Well, in the Premier League, because obviously he has played the Championship, and it's big cash. Haaland was a Galactico player, and it was a Galactico signing, but it was a bit weird because he didn't have the Galactico fee. And that's what makes a Galactico. There's high pressure on them. If they come in and they do well, they do really well, and you're like, fucking hell, this guy's mint. If they don't do well, then you're like, you know, you just absolutely just bombed out on the cash. So that's where you're at, man. That's where you're at. But yeah, just to, not baited. Nah, lads. Don't come here and start telling me when I've been baited. I say fucking hell all the time, bro. All right? Bro. Don't tell me when I've been baited. I know if I've been baited, I get baited, innit? But that's no bait. Fucking hell is a long-term member of this channel, respected for over 19 months. And we know fucking hell, innit? So
there you go, lads. That's you kicked off the Avengers show now. Well done, mate.
Yeah, fuck this guy. Let's time him out. And Hugh Janus as well, man. And that guy's just had his name out for times. I'll say that every time. You know what I mean? If you're a long-term beta, then you know it just becomes standard, innit? You know what I mean? That means that MCFC lads does not watch this channel on the reg. So what the fuck is all that about, man? Ooh, honestly, man. This guy needs to hit the notification bell. Incidentally, lads will be on, or hopefully after I've just done that, hopefully we'll be on the Avengers show tonight. It's going to be me, Hugh, lads, Jace, Daps is on, and Big Steve's on as well. We've got the Avengers show tonight, 8 p.m. So make sure you join us for that. Anything else you want to say on either of these two players, bro, before we wrap up?
It would be a great summer if we got both these players. I believe that.
Yeah, big up, man. Big up. Guys, there you go then. So the latest news, just to summarise, if you've just joined us, is that the fee set for James Maddison by Leicester is 50 million quid. Could it be lower if they get relegated? Could it be higher if they stay up? We won't know. We'll have to wait and see on that one.
I actually have a funny story. I met James Maddison before. I met him outside Wembley. He wasn't the friendliest geezer in the world. I get it was probably a stressful time for him. I went to the Tyson Fury fight against, who was he fighting? Was it Derek Chisora? Or Dillian White last April in Wembley. And we were walking out. I was like, oh shit, there's James Maddison. And he was with all the other Leicester boys. And I walked over. I was like, can I get a selfie? He goes, nah. And he walked off. And I was like, hang on a sec. I'm getting a selfie here. So I walked back over. I was like, please let me get the selfie. I'll put it up on Twitter for any of you who follow me on Twitter. It's a good one.
There you go then. Hugh got rejected from James Maddison. But he still wants him at the club. So you put your rejection to one side there, bro. Respect.
Hey, listen, I've met loads of City players, and some of them, I don't name drop them because they're fantastic footballers, weren't the most friendly in the world, but lots of them are very friendly. But in Manchester Airport, if you go there straight after a game and there's an international break coming up, like after that game, you have a very high chance of meeting a lot of the international players. So yeah, there's a tip for you guys.
There you go. Right, cool, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed that stream. We'll be back later on, 8 p.m. Put it in your diaries. The Avengers show returns. It's going to be a madness. Make sure you join us. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you later on. See you. 85% of partners prefer a man who is groomed below the waist, and 96% of partners think bad grooming is a major turn-off. That's where Manscaped have come in to help us all out, including myself, lads. The Lawnmower 4.0 is a trimmer specifically designed with our crown jewels in mind. It has skin-safe technology to reduce those nicks and cuts and gives you the maximum confidence while trimming below the waist. It's also IPX7 waterproof rated, so you can operate in wet or dry conditions. It has a premium 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology and a massive 90-minute battery time, which is supported by its wireless electromagnetic charging function. With the Performance Package 4.0, you'll get the Crop Reviver with witch hazel and powerful odor defense. This keeps your balls protected after a good shave. Crop Preserver with its soothing aloe vera and advanced quick absorbing cream, keeping your balls feeling fresh and hydrated. And the Weed Whacker to trim ear and nose hair. The Performance Package 4.0 has everything you need to keep you the most groomed man in the room. Use our code XTRA20 XTRA20 at checkout and you'll save yourself 20% off your order and receive free international shipping.